Hello everybody, Eric again. Like and subscribe. Here we go. Let's read about Bad Hair Day. Bad Hair Day is the ninth studio album by the American parody musician Weird Al Yankovic, released on March 12, 1996. It was Yankovic's last studio album for the Scotti Brothers label before it was purchased by Volcano Entertainment in 1999. The album produced an array of hit comedy singles. Lead single Amish Paradise, which lampoons both Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise and the Amish lifestyle, charted at number 53 on the Billboard Hot 100, while Gump, which parodies Lump by the Presidents of the United States of America, and the movie Forrest Gump peaked at number 102. The musical styles on the album are built around parodies and pastiches of pop and rock music of the mid-1990s, largely targeting alternative rock and hip-hop alike. The album also includes style parodies, limitations of specific artists, like They Might Be Giants and Elvis Costello. Amish Paradise caused a minor controversy after rapper Coolio expressed distaste at having his song parodied by Yankovic, although the two later made amends. Bad Hair Day was the final studio album to feature Weird Al Yankovic's signature look of curly hair, glasses, and a mustache. An appearance he had maintained since 1979. Bad Hair Day was met with mixed to positive reviews, with many critics praising Amish Paradise. In particular, Amish Paradise went on to become one of Yankovic's best-known singles. The album peaked at number 14 on the Billboard 200. Bad Hair Day sold 1,317,000 copies in the U.S. in 1996 alone, the highest sales tally for any comedy album in a single calendar year since Nielsen SoundScan began tracking sales in 1991. Bad Hair Day was Yankovic's sixth gold record in the United States, and went on to be certified double platinum for sales of over 2 million copies in the U.S. by the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA. The album was also certified platinum in Canada by the Canadian Recording Industry Association, CRIA. Production, recording. In November 1994, Yankovic entered Santa Monica Sound Recorders in Santa Monica, California to begin the first of the Bad Hair Day sessions, which he produced himself. Recording with Yankovic were John Bermuda Schwartz on drums, Steve J on bass, and Jim West on guitar. The album was recorded in 5 sessions. The first session started on November 30th and yielded 2 originals, Callin' and Said, and Everything You Know Is Wrong. The second session started the next day and produced the original songs, I Remember Larry, The Night Santa Went Crazy, and Since You've Been Gone. The third session took place on November 5th, 1995, and resulted in the original I'm So Sick of You, and the parody Cavity Search. The fourth session yielded the alternative polka medley, and the 2 parodies, Gump and Phony Cause. The fifth and final recording session produced Amish Paradise and Syndicated Ink, both of which were parodies. Originals. Callin' in Sick is a style parody of music popular in Seattle, Washington, most notably grunge. Everything You Know Is Wrong is a stylistic pastiche of They Might Be Giants. Yankovic explained that he tried to write a song sort of in their style, but perhaps even a little bit more twisted. For fans of They Might Be Giants, he put little references in here and there, little allusions to other songs of theirs. The song title is taken from the 1974 Firesign Theater album of the same name. I Remember Larry is a style parody of Hilly Michaels, and it tells the tale of a neighborhood bully who, after Murad pranks, drives the narrator to kidnap him and leave him for dead in the forest. At the 3 minutes and 10-second mark, the song contains a backmasked passage, which when reversed reads, "Wow, you must have an awful lot of free time on your hands." The Night Santa Went Crazy tells the story of Santa snapping, embarking on a killing spree, and eventually being arrested. Originally, the song had a different third verse deferring in the fact that, at the end of the song, Santa is killed by the SWAT team. The extra gory version was eventually released on the single For Amish Paradise. Another version was written for the Touring with Scissors tour in 1999, combining elements of the album version and the extra glory version. Since You've Been Gone is a generic doo-wop a cappella track that details a youngster's torment after the object of his affections breaks up with him. Lankovic performed most of the vocals himself, and to make sure that he stayed on key, a scratch guitar track was recorded when the song was mixed. The guitar track was removed. Bassist Steve J provides the low voices in the song. Finally, I'm So Sick of You, a style parody of Elvis Costello, in which the singer tells his girlfriend all the things he hates about her. Parodies and Polka. The first parody recorded for the album was Cavity Search, a parody of U2's hit Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me. The song, which recounts the horror of having to go to the dentist, features the sound of an actual dental drill. To enhance the dental theme of the song, Lankovic called in his actual dentist, who brought a real drill and a human tooth, which the two took turns drilling while recording. The second parody was a pastiche of TLC's hit Waterfalls, called Phony Calls, about prank calls. During the bridge, a clip from The Simpsons' second season episode, Blood Feud, is played on top of the music because the sound clip was from a pre-existing episode. Lankovic noted that it was a pretty sweet deal for The Simpsons voice actors. They each got a nice pile of money, and they didn't even have to come to the studio. Before the call, you hear a phone number being dialed. The number is 372-5806, which at the time was guitarist Jim West's home phone number. The next parody recorded for the album was Gump, a parody of Blunt by the Presidents of the United States of America. The song recounts the basic plot to the 1994 film Forrest Gump about a naive and slow-witted yet athletically prodigious native of Alabama who witnesses, and in some cases influences, some of the defining events of the latter half of the 20th century in the United States. Gump was released as the second single from the album and received the video. On January 15, 1996, Lankovic began recording the lead single for the album, Amish Paradise. Lankovic felt that parodying Coolio would pay off because Coolio had such an identifiable image that a lot of things could be done with. He noted, I like to play around with people that have some, who know a lot of style, as opposed to somebody who's kind of homogenized, SIC, and bland, and has no personality. And Coolio certainly kind of sticks out in the crowd. Lankovic felt that juxtaposing the original song's gangsta themes with the Amish lifestyle would produce a humorous end result. After Lankovic revealed to his label that he would be doing a Coolio parody, they requested that the album artwork for the release also parody Coolio. Lankovic had been toying with the name Bad Hair Day for a time and felt that he could adequately use the name and lampoon Coolio, who was known for his distinct hairstyle. At the same time, the final parody recorded for the album, Syndicated Ink, is a parody of Misery by Soul Asylum, a loving ode to syndicated television. Much like Lankovic's previous album, Bad Hair Day features a polka medley of then-current hit songs. The Alternated Polka originally contained the chorus of Weezer's song Buddy Holly, performed by Lankovic, but the song's writer, Weezer frontman Rivers Cuomo, requested its removal just before the album's release. Lankovic was forced to physically cut the bit out of the master tape, but Weezer was still given credit in the liner notes because the notes were already printed. On June 25, 2010, over 14 years after the album's release, Lankovic released the unmixed and unmastered Buddy Holly clip on his official YouTube channel. Unused parodies. In addition to the 5 parodies on the album, Lankovic had severely parody ideas that were turned down. Originally, Lankovic wanted to turn the Offspring's hit "Come Out and Play" into an ad about doing laundry called Laundry Day. There are conflicting stories as to why the song was never recorded. Either Lankovic never approached the Offspring about releasing the parody, or the band denied permission. Either way, Lankovic performed the song in concert from 1996 through 2000. Despite not being able to parody "Come Out and Play," Lankovic would later be granted permission to parody their 1998 hit "Pretty Fly for a White Guy" as a "Pretty Fly for a Wabbie" on his 1999 album "Running with Scissors." Lankovic also wanted to record a parody of the Beatles' anthology hit "Free as a Bird" titled "Gee, I'm a Nerd." Lankovic asked Paul McCartney, a supporter of Lankovic's work, if he could parody "Free as a Bird." McCartney had no problem with the parody, but because "Free as a Bird" was written by John Lennon, McCartney deferred the decision to Yoko Ono, who denied permission because she was uncomfortable with the parody idea. Lankovic had also intended to record a parody of the U2 song "Numb" and a parody of the Rembrandt's hit song "I Will Be There For You." The Numb spoof would have been called "Green Eggs and Ham," a song in which Lankovic recited various lines from the Dr. Seuss book of the same name. U2 approved the parody, but Lankovic was unable to get permission from the Seuss estate. Likewise, Lankovic had wanted to turn "I Will Be There For You" into "I Will Repair For You," and write it about the popular 1990 sitcom Home Improvement. The Rembrandts had also given approval when Lankovic asked, but the producers of Friends did not want the theme song to get overexposed and refused permission. All of the rejected parodies were later performed in concert. Controversy. The album's lead singer, Amish Paradise, caused a minor controversy after rapper Coolio said that Lankovic had never asked for permission to record the parody. Lankovic traditionally secures permission from the artists he parodies, even though this is not legally required, as parodies are covered under fair use guidelines. But when he inquired about Gangsta's Paradise, Lankovic was told by Scotty Brothers Records that Coolio had given permission. Coolio later claimed that he had not given such permission, making a statement at the Grammys saying that he did not appreciate Lankovic disequating his song. Speculations surfaced that Coolio had actually given permission, but later changed his mind, or that Lankovic's record label had lied to Lankovic in the hopes that the song would become popular. Lankovic later stated on VH1's Behind the Music that he had written a sincere letter of apology to Coolio, which was never returned, and that Coolio never complained when he received his royalty check from proceeds of the song. A series of photos taken at the XM Satellite Radio booth at the 2006 Consumer Electronics Show, as well as a post on the Ask Elf feature on Lankovic's website, suggested that Lankovic and Coolio made amends. According to Lankovic, he was very surprised when Coolio came over to chat. He later joked on his site's Q&A feature that I will be invited to Coolio's next birthday party, but at least I can't stop wearing that bulletproof vest to the mall. Promotion. Scotty Brothers Records developed a promotion strategy for Bad Hair Day, which included Lankovic dressed up in excoriating Coolio-styled hair and presenting an award at the American Music Awards in January 1996. According to Billboard, this was a hint as to who would be the next victim of a Lankovic parody. Amish Paradise was then released in the very beginning of March as a radio and commercial single when Gangsta's Paradise was still receiving radio airplay. 4 days later, the video was released. The album's success was also boosted by the release of Gump as a single on April 25th, and the video 4 days later. In addition, WEA, who had taken over distributing Scotty Brothers albums from BMG, helped with the initial release of the album. To promote the album, Lankovic undertook the Bad Hair Tour, which spanned from May 24th, 1996 to October 19th, 1997. The tour was largely centered in the United States, although the first half saw Lankovic perform in Canada. Lankovic performed over 130 shows during the tour. Initially, there were preliminary plans to have Lankovic tour Europe based on whether All-American Music Group would secure the album's international release, although this venture never came to fruition. Reception. Critical reception. Mike Joyce of the Washington Post wrote that Amish Paradise was by far the cleverest and funniest track that Bad Hair Day was to offer, and it ranks right up there with such Lankovic classics as Another One Rides the Bus, Smells Like Nirvana, and Eat It. He also enjoyed Gump, but felt that the remainder of the parodies were weak, particularly citing Cavity Search as a sophomoric attempt to extract looks. However, Joyce noted that some of the biggest laugh-getters on the album were Lankovic's originals. A record review from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette concluded that Weird Al Yankovic's ninth collection of original songs and parodies reinforces his range as pop music's king of comedy, and that the record showcases Yankovic's unparalleled ability to capture the styles of other bands and turn boring pop songs into fun tunes. J.D. Cassadine of the Baltimore Sun noted that while Yankovic's music can be sophomoric and silly, Yankovic himself can also be pretty smart. The review highlighted, among other songs, the alternative polka and The Night Santa Went Crazy as some of the album's best songs. Not all reviews were positive. Stephen Thomas Erlewine of AllMusic criticized the lack of humor on the album, saying the music on Bad Hair Day not only lacks the humor, it lacks the impetus, energy that made Weird Al's first albums such fun. The Rolling Stone Record Guide awarded the album 2 out of 5 stars. However, the book later referred to the album's lead single, Amish Paradise, as gut-busting. Commercial performance. Bad Hair Day was released on March 12, 1996, and eventually became Yankovic's best-selling album. Domestically, the album debuted at number 28 on the Billboard 200 on March 30, 1996, and eventually peaked at number 14. The album remained on the charts for a total of 56 weeks, making it Yankovic's youngest charting album. In 1996, the album sold 1,317,000 copies in the United States, setting a record for the most copies a comedy album sold in a year during the Nielsen SoundScan era. On May 15, 1996, Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA, certified Bad Hair Day Gold, and then on June 11th of the same year, it certified the record platinum. In May 2014, it was announced that the album had sold 225 million copies in the U.S., making it the fourth best-selling comedy album of the Nielsen SoundScan era. On October 3rd, 2019, the album was officially certified double platinum by the RIAA. The album was also successful in Canada, where it peaked at number 9 on the Canadian Albums Chart, and was later certified platinum by the Canadian Recording Industry Association, CRIA, for sales over 100,000 copies. Track listing. Number, title, writers, parody of, length. 1. Amish Paradise. Ernest Ive Jr., Doug Rashid, Larry Sanders, Steve Lynn Morse, Alfred Yankovic. Gangsta's Parody. Paradise, Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio, featuring LV, 3 minutes and 20 seconds. 2. Everything You Know Is One, Yankovic style parody of They Might Be Giants, 3 minutes and 47 seconds. 3. Cavity Search, Paul Hewson, David Evans, Adam Clayton, Lawrence Mullen, Jr., Yankovic, Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me by U2, 4 minutes and 16 seconds. 4 minutes and 16 minutes. 4 minutes and 16 seconds, not the minutes. 4. Callin' In Sick, Yankovic, original grunge song, 3 minutes and 41 seconds. 5. The Alternative Polka, Various, a polka medley including Show. Music by Beck, Sex Tape Thing by Stone Temple Pilot, All I Wanna Do by Sheryl Crow, Closer by 9 Inch Nails, Bang and Blame by R.E.M., You Oughta Know by Alanis Morissette, Built Bullets with Butterfly Wings by the Smashing Pumpkins. My Friends by Red Hot Chili Peppers. I Will Stick Around by Foo Fighters. Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden. Basket Case by Green Day. Air Booger Polka by Weird Al Yankovic. 6. Since You've Been Gone, Yankovic, original a cappella song, 1 minute and 20 seconds. 5 minutes. 6. Since You've Been Gone, Yankovic, original a cappella song, 1 minute and 20 seconds. 7. Jump, Chris Ballou, Yankovic, Jump by the Presidents of the United States of America, 2 minutes and 11 seconds. 8. I'm So Sick of You, Yankovic, style parody of Elvis Costello, 3 minutes and 25 seconds. 9. Syndicated Ink, David Perner, Yankovic, Misery by Soul Asylum, 3 minutes and 46 seconds. 10. I Remember Larry, Yankovic, style parody of Hilly Michaels, 3 minutes and 55 seconds. 11. Phony Cause, Marcus Etheridge, Lisa Lops, Organized Noise, Yankovic, Waterfalls by TLC, 3 minutes and 21 seconds. 12. The Night Santa Went Crazy, Yankovic, style parody of Soul Asylum, especially Black Hole, 3 minutes and 59 seconds. Total length, 42 minutes and 13 seconds. Bye for now.